Sasha Martinengo.
Storming down the pit lane.
Weekdays from 12 to 2 p.m. Central African Time on balls.co.za. Who the is?
And today we're going to find out who the is Ronan Quarmby. I'll tell you a little bit about him. He's known as a comeback kid, but we'll get into that story and how that name came about a little bit later on, because it is a rather freaky
bizarre
kind of, it's a rather freaky kind of a story. But Ronan, first of all, great to have you in the studio. Thanks very much for coming through, because I know you're quite a busy guy.
Yeah, thanks, Sasha. It's awesome being here, definitely. Just got back from Italy like 2 weeks ago, so I didn't have the best race of the season.
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that. Let's hold on a second. Where are you from?
I'm from Joburg.
You're a Joburg boy.
Yes.
Where'd you go to school?
I went to Foy's High School.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, but I dropped out of school at the end of grade 10 because I got offered a ride in Britain. So,
okay.
Yeah.
All right. So when did you start riding bikes?
I started riding bikes, I think it was 2006. Started on a 125.
All right, so 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And are you 21?
21 now, yeah.
All right, so you started, you're 15 years old.
Yeah.
And was it always bikes? Did you grow up when you were a teenager, 13, 14, you just sat there and said, I want to ride a bike?
I started riding at about the age of 2, 3 on a motocross bike. Did freestyle for 2 years when I was about 10, 11 years old.
Yeah.
Basically, then just got on a 125 and started from there, built up slowly. And then soon eventually got onto a 600cc, which was a big step.
And so from doing freestyle motocross and that kind of stuff, you decided enough of all the bumpy rides or whatever. What made you want to go into circuit racing?
To be honest, I didn't really want to go into circuit racing at the beginning, and my dad just, we were watching TV a couple of times, watching the World Championship, and I started getting into the motorsport a bit. And I was never into my motorsport. I was mainly into my rugby, soccer, things like that. And it's completely different now. It's changed. Now I'm only motorsport, man.
Yeah.
So I basically got into the on-road racing like that. It was just by watching TV and getting more interested into the road racing.
Now, how did you know that you had this kind of talent? Because I think there's a lot of people who also sit there and say, okay, well, give me a 125 or whatever. And unfortunately, someone does have to come last.
Yeah.
In any kind of a race.
Yeah.
So how did you know that you sat there and went, wow, I'm pretty damn good at this?
I was pretty good when I was on my motocross bike years ago, and with freestyle, I think I was always the best out of the brothers, out of my two other brothers, and I think
that's a diss to them, eh?
That was like the one thing that my dad always saw with motorbikes with me. So my oldest brother was also really good with bikes, but my dad just gave me the opportunity, and I jumped at it. I really did, but I didn't think I was going to be so good on a road bike.
Okay, so you went on to 125s.
Yeah.
And then did you race in a championship? Because we had Janine Mitchell in here last week as well. She also went in, started on 125s and those kind of things. So you raced there, and then what was it? Just 125s, then 600s?
Yeah. I was too tall I was too tall for a 125.
I mean, you are very tall.
Yeah,
we had Sheridan Mariah here. We had to put lots of
he's
cushions.
A midget
we had to put a lot of cushions on the chair for him.
Oh, serious?
No, only joking.
I did 125, so literally like 4 or 5 months, and I think I missed out on the podium like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
It was the first time on a road bike, so my dad just said, let's get onto 600, and I was keen for that. So I started out in the regionals, did I think like 6 months in regionals 600cc, and like my next step was immediately into the nationals.
Okay.
Jumped into that,
and then where was this? Around about 2007, 2008?
Yeah, that was about 2007, 2008.
Okay, so then you did like 4 years, roughly 3 years racing 600s.
Yeah, I did. Well, basically, I started on the 600, I think at the beginning of 2007, end of 2006.
Okay.
And then 2008, I was offered a ride in Britain, and then went to go race in the British series there, which is extremely difficult. It's one of the top national bike racing world championships in the world. One of the nationals. But now I'm in the world stage, and you can't compare it to anything.
No, I can well imagine. But I mean, to go to progress from racing here in South Africa and then go and ride in the UK, I mean, it takes also a lot of money, also a lot of faith in doing it.
Yeah.
So how well did you do when you were there?
To be honest, I didn't do that well. I crashed a lot. I broke my back in 2008 in a couple of places, so I was out for 4 months.
Yeah.
So I came back here, recovered, went back there again, and basically I think I just crashed too often. I was just trying to push too hard. I wanted to be the best all the time, and it didn't happen because I was just crashing all the time. But I think it takes a couple of years overseas before you can actually start winning races, and that's what I'm doing now. This is my second year in the World Championship, and only now am I starting to see results.
Okay, that's good. Well, listen, we're gonna take a quick song, and then we're gonna talk about, because I want to talk about crashing. I want to talk about the comeback side of things as well. We've got a couple of questions that are coming up on Twitter as well, which we'll go through in a short while. So stay with us. In studio guest today is international motorcyclist, racer, and of course his name is Ronan Quarmby. We'll 12 Ronan Quarmby, and we'll find out what he's up to at present. But I want to go back a little bit. Couple of questions. Why? And this is one I had with Brad Binder, I had with Sheridan as well. Why can't SA riders ride that well in the wet and the rain? Which is a really good question. Are we struggling with it? Are you struggling with it when we get those? I mean, especially you went to go and race in England first, not only just Europe, but you went to England. Surely you had a lot of wet weather races.
I did. I would say, I've had a lot of people asking me about that, and basically the beginning, I would say after Imola, after I finished third on the podium, we've had I think Assen, which was extremely wet. We've had Monza, which was also extremely wet. But I kind of had a setback mentally, and that was at Assen, where I felt like I couldn't ride in the wet, and those are some of the things that happen in motorsports, and you need people to kind of like try and help you along, and you need people to talk to, and that's why I do see a sports psychologist and stuff. But to be honest, I am really quick in the rain, and I know I'm good in the rain, and Monza I kind of brought that back to life, because I think I started 11th, 12th on the grid, and I moved up to third at the beginning of the race. And in the middle of the race, I wasn't thinking properly when Keenan Sofoglu did a move on me, and I did a drastic move, and I passed him on the brakes immediately, and that wasn't too clever, because I think I could have finished on the podium in that race, definitely. So Sheridan does struggle a bit in the wet. I know he does. A lot of riders do, but I've had the experience in the rain. I really have, through, like you said, through Britain and things like that. And I think if we do get another wet round, I will definitely be up there.
All right, no, that's good to hear. The other thing is, you always have the pit girl, the brolly girls around the new motorcycle. Are they friendly?
They are, but we don't really talk much, none of the pit girls really talk much with the riders, so it's kind of like a distant thing. That's their job, to get onto the grid and look sexy and things like that, and they get some exposure, but it's we're there for a job, so
no, of course, it was just a question that came in
for sure.
All right, Ronan, let's go back here. You involved, I think it was a local race here in South Africa, and you had a bit of an accident.
Yes.
All right. And this is where we get to the whole comeback kid. All right. So you had this accident, you go and get checked out, and all of a sudden they find something else. Tell us exactly what happened.
Okay, well, we had the World Superbikes here in 2010. They came for the Kyle Army round, and basically my dad arranged a ride so that Ten Carter could bring a bike for me from the Netherlands to South Africa. We did some testing here with Lance Isaacs and myself, and we were, well, I was supposed to do the whole round, but unfortunately, well, in the practice I did really well. I ended up 4th fastest. I was mainly fastest the whole session. It was the first time in a world championship that I was riding, and in qualifying, went into qualifying, and I came up to the top at West Bank at Kyalami, one of the corners, and I lost the front end and took out Michele Pera with me, but I realized I couldn't get up afterwards, and it was really the smallest crash ever, and I really couldn't get up, and there was something wrong, and I knew there was something wrong, and I tried to get up, and I felt a massive click, and just like in my hip, and it was excruciating pain. I got onto the bike, went back to the pits, and the guys helped me off the bike, and I had Troy Bayliss and Troy Corser and guys like that, they came to me and they were, trying to help me out and trying to figure out what was wrong, and they were trying to motivate me to get on the bike again, but I couldn't.
Yeah.
That night we went to the hospital and I got an x-ray, and we found out that I had a massive bubble in my left femur.
Yeah.
So a cyst had been evolving inside my left femur over the past 3 years, and they think it got in there after I had a massive crash and did some damage to my kneecap, and obviously the infection got through there. But so basically the doctor said to me, I'll never ride again, I'll never be able to get on a bike again, and I could possibly lose my leg or something like that because it was so bad. I got a doctor in Pretoria. My dad found a really good doctor in Pretoria. He opened me up on the Monday after the race weekend. I obviously didn't race, and they basically just cut my bone open, cleaned it out, filled it up with cement and things like that, bone cement, and they put a plate in it and things like that. And I missed two rounds in the South African Championship. Yeah. And that was just recovering and things like that. And then I came back after those 2 rounds, and I won almost every single race afterwards in the SA Championship, and won the championship at the end of the year. So that was why they call me the comeback kid. Yeah. I
mean, listen, it's a bizarre story, but incredibly, how certain things happen for other things to unfold. I mean, had you not had that accident at the top of Westbank, the small little accident, they might not have found it. You might still be walking around with that huge cyst inside your leg.
Exactly. Well, they say, racing showed me that I had a problem in my leg, and it wasn't caused from the racing or anything like that.
No, sure.
And I've never had. Okay, I've had some big crashes with racing, but nothing that I've really seriously hurt myself. I normally hurt myself falling off a building or doing something else.
I don't want to know why you're falling off buildings.
But racing, basically showed me what I had, and I was lucky. I was really, really lucky, because if I hadn't found it out, then I could have lost my leg.
How did you feel when the doctors come to you and say, "Listen, buddy, your racing's over"?
Oh, I was devastated. My dad was standing next to me and he started crying.
Oh no!
So it was really, really bad. But I was lucky. I was fortunate enough to come back.
All right. So then you went on. You won the championship, and then from there, you said, "Well, listen, I've done everything here. I've raced a little bit in the UK.
Yeah.
Now I've got to go on the big stage."
Yeah. Well, I see Sheridan, he was riding overseas, rode overseas, came back to South Africa, and it wasn't working for me. I tried that, and I couldn't race in a national championship in South Africa and try and race in the world scene. So I made a decision and said, let me stick to one thing and one championship, and that was definitely the World Championship, because I had the opportunity to ride for Triumph last year in 2011, which my dad funded for the entire year. And and basically, I didn't finish that many rounds last year. We had a couple of problems with the Triumph, but the consistency was good. I stayed overseas, I came back, but it was really good, just focusing on one championship. And I think that was the biggest thing with Sheridan that he didn't do, and he lost a bit of time because he kept on coming back home and racing. But to be honest, I have been fortunate enough that my dad's been able to fund my racing.
Sure.
And especially this year also, my dad's also funding my racing again, because it's difficult to get sponsorship, and only now eventually we can start looking at guys and saying, listen, help me out, because I'm starting to do well and we can give you the exposure.
So tell us now what you're racing. You're in the super sports?
Yeah.
Which is basically one sort of level below the super bikes, and tell us the team that you're riding for. What is your team first?
Well, I race in the World Superbike FIM Championship, and we basically one category below the 1000 cc's, the super sport, and it's an extremely competitive championship, and I ride for the main, I would say it's the main team for Honda this year in the Supersport Championship, because we've got 6 riders in the team. Basically, myself and Jules Cluzel are riding for under PTR Honda, and then Sam Lowe's and Matthew Scholz, the other South African, are running under Bogdanka, but it's the same team.
Okay.
And then we have Paul Skopek and what's his name? I forgot the other rider's name, but we have another 2 riders also involved in the team. So we got 6 riders, and to be honest, all of us are doing well. The people didn't expect for so many riders in one team, but for all of us to do well. So yeah,
listen, I mean, it's damn exciting. You must set yourself some goals as to what you want to achieve out of this year, 2012.
Yeah. Well, I said to myself that I want to get into the top 5, and I want to try and keep into the top 5. Right now, it's not looking too good because, you know, I'm currently 9th in the championship, but I think after this round, I've learned a couple of things. I was on the pace.
This is Mazzano, eh?
Yeah, Mazzano. Yeah. I learned a couple of things. I was on the pace. It was I think it was the best qualifying I've had this season so far.
Okay.
I was only 0.5 off the pace from the leader, and if I had a better qualifying lap, if I'd gotten a better qualifying lap, I probably would have gotten onto the front row. So I think Aragon's next weekend, Spain. Yeah. And I really think I could get a really good result there, keep my head together, and I've been training really, really hard recently, doing yoga early in the morning, cycling in the afternoon, so twice a day fitness, and I think definitely to try and keep that top 5 goal for the end of the year is possible.
Well, listen, we'll definitely follow and make sure that hopefully you get there. When it comes to your actual races, is it sort of like 22 laps straight out sort of qualifying pace, or is there quite a lot of strategy, quite a lot of thinking about it in terms of your tire wear, etc., etc.? How do you methodically set out your own race?
Well, it does. I've got a crew chief and a mechanic which work on my bike, and we basically the night before we take 2-3 hours. We go through the data. We look at what the best angle is to approach the race, and what the best tires are, and what tires the guys are using. And in the morning, you know, sometimes the weather changes and we have to do different things, but at the end of the day, everyone's in the same boat, and it normally depends on who picks the best tire, but normally the guys use the same tires. So you know, normally the superbikes, they race before us.
Sure.
So I'll watch them. I'll watch the stock thousands or so, and look at the best possible places to overtake, and what kind of start I'm going to do, and things like that. And it all goes through my head. I analyze a lot of things before I ride, and also because when you get onto the track, as soon as the lights go out, there's nothing. You don't think of a thing. You just flat out the whole way for 22 laps.
As a racer is.
Yeah.
Well, listen, Ronan, it's great to have you here in the studio. Make sure you come and visit us back in South Africa. You've got 8 rounds still left.
Yeah.
In the championship, and we want to see more podiums and less crashes.
Definitely. Thanks, Sasha. You know, I think the next couple of rounds are definitely going to be, we'll be on top there, definitely.
Awesome. It's great to have you in the studio. Thanks for visiting us, and we'll definitely follow your progress and keep us updated via Twitter, Facebook, your homepage, and all of that kind of stuff.
Awesome.
Ronan, great to have you in the studio. Thanks very much for visiting. There we go, Ronan Quarmby. Watch out for him. He's going to be next week. He'll be racing in Aragon in Spain. Then, of course, we've got Brno, Silverstone, Moscow, Nürburgring, Algarve, and Magny-Cours. 8 rounds, and of course, all of that is live on television as well. So, Ronan, good luck, my friend. We're really right behind you.
Gears on bulls.co.za with Sasha Martinengo.
He's kept himself out of trouble.
Weekdays from 12 to 2 p.m. Central African Time.